Today, recordings of scandalous conversations between Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban and Russian President Vladimir Putin were leaked online. In the conversation, Viktor Orban is not just fawning over Putin, but even offers to become his Hungarian mouse who will save the Russian lion. And this is not a joke, these are Viktor Orban's actual words. Yes, he says, I'm ready to become Vladimir Putin's mouse, but that's not all. The Insider publishes an interview with one of the prominent figures of the Hungarian criminal world, who said that in the 1990s the current Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, was very closely connected with the criminal underworld of Budapest, which financed his political campaign. And this former gangster described in detail exactly how the criminal world helped Viktor Orban come to power. My name is Alexei Pichi, let's discuss this topic together. But before we start this episode, I ask you to subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and leave any comment under this video. This is very important for promoting content on YouTube, and I would be grateful to you for that. And subscribe to my Telegram channel Pichi News, the link to it is in the description of this video. So, I'm sure you all remember the scandal when recordings of the foreign minister's conversations were leaked online. Hungary's Peter Szijjártó with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. It wasn't that long ago. At that time, Szijjártó was reporting to Moscow about the situation at the European Council meetings, and also unquestioningly carried out all Kremlin orders to help lift European sanctions from certain Russians. And back then, Szijjártó, like a true servant, told Lavrov that he was always at his service and would do everything Russia told him to do. And overall, Lavrov should understand that Szijjártó is someone who will always sit by the door on the mat, waiting for instructions. But it turned out that Szijjártó is just a part of how Viktor Orban's regime serves all of Vladimir Putin's wishes. Today, Bloomberg publishes another very interesting conversation. This time between Viktor Orban and Vladimir Putin, as the publication writes, during the October meeting, a phone conversation with the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban emphasized that he is ready to make every effort to support Moscow in everything. In particular, to facilitate the resolution of the war in Ukraine by organizing a summit in Budapest. Well, back then there were still some hopes, remember, for a meeting between Putin and Trump in the Hungarian capital. And so, in a conversation with Vladimir Putin, Orban says, quote, "Yesterday our friendship became so strong that I can help you in any way. In any matter where I can be useful, I am always ready to help and always at your service." And you know, at the end it just needs a little bit of flattery. What's funny is that Viktor Orban then tried to explain his point in this conversation by recalling a children's fairy tale which he said is popular in Hungary. In this fairy tale, a mouse saved a lion who had previously spared her life. And according to the publication, this story made Vladimir Putin laugh a lot. And Orban says, "I'm ready to be your little mouse, Volodya, in order to save your ass from what you've gotten yourself into." Well, I think this refers to Aesop's Fable, if you know it, where the lion once spared the mouse. And then this little mouse later frees the lion who got caught in a net. Well, the analogies are just wonderful. And now Viktor Orban says that he is ready to become that very mouse for Vladimir Putin, to save Russia, which he calls the very lion that got caught in a net. It is noted that the brief call between Orban and Putin indicates that assistance to Russia is being formulated directly at the government level. During the conversation, they mostly exchanged praise for each other and recalled President Donald Trump. Earlier, both had contacted the American president regarding a possible summit in Budapest, which ultimately did not take place. And later Viktor Orban complained, I quote, "The more friends we have, the easier it is to stand up to our enemies. I'm sorry that Vladimir Putin and I can't meet in person as often as we did before the COVID pandemic." In turn, Putin praised Hungary for its, quote, "by an independent and flexible position regarding the war against Ukraine," and added that he doesn't understand why such a cautious and moderate stance draws so much criticism. And according to Bloomberg, the main goal of the October conversation was to discuss the possibility of organizing a meeting between the US and Russia in Hungary, which at that time was still in the preparation stage. Putin explained to Orban in detail what steps could lead to holding this meeting. A possible meeting between the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, Sergei Lavrov, and the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio before determining the appropriate level of representation. That's how Putin put it. However, as you know, the meeting between Rubio and Lavrov ultimately did not take place. But, I don't think this information about Viktor Orban's slavish obedience to Putin surprised you. But the material from the insider might surprise you. The publication presents an interview with former gangster Laszlo Kovacs, who in the 1990s worked for the leader of an influential organized crime group in Budapest named Igor Korol, who led a group that reported to the main boss of Hungary's criminal underworld, Semen Mogilevich. And according to Kovacs, he delivered large sums of cash as recommended by Mogilevich. He regularly sent them to the head of police, Sándor Pinter, to close criminal cases. But the most interesting thing is that, according to Kovacs, in 1997 he personally delivered huge amounts of criminal money from Mogilevich to finance the campaign. Viktor Orban, who after coming to power appointed that very same Pinter who took money and closed criminal cases as the Minister of Internal Affairs of Hungary. The former gangster noted that the bundles of money were usually not large, but in 1997 the amounts reached $500,000 and once he was given a bag with $1 million. Here is a quote. All these large sums were intended for Vitka, as Mogilevich called Orban. Orban and Pinter were already close at that time, which was no secret to anyone. However, neither of them ever appeared in Mogilevich's office, at least I never saw them there. Kovacs also said that parliamentary elections were scheduled for 1998 and the gangster Mogilevich was counting on Orban coming to power to give him complete freedom of action. At first, that's how it was. After his victory, Orban immediately appointed Pinter as Minister of Internal Affairs, but then everything changed. And here's a quote from Kovacs. When Orban was running as an opposition candidate, all those explosions and murders that outraged society actually helped his ratings. But when he came to power, his former friends and sponsors became an obstacle for him, and with the help of that same Pinter, he quickly got rid of them, putting them all behind bars. Even Mogilevich himself had to leave Hungary for Russia. And here's the most interesting point. If Mogilevich went to Moscow, did he hand over compromising material on Viktor Orban to Vladimir Putin? I'll leave it at that, friends. I recommend you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Not because we'll be following the developments at night. As soon as there is any news, I'll go live right away and cover everything that's happening. So subscribe. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. If you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so financially with any donation. You can use the QR code on your screen. This is the easiest way, the simplest way to support the work of this channel. With just one click, you can show your support. And in the description of this video, there are various other platforms. There you'll find Patreon, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, YouTube memberships, bank details, and even crypto wallets. So choose any option that's convenient for you. I will be grateful for any support you give. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.